There are many cars competing to be the best, and this Alfa Romero is no exception. Would you be surprised if I told you that the Alfa Romero once dominated the track? In fact, Enzo Ferrari started his career with the brand and found a lot of success through the Alfa Romero name. And now, many years later, Alfa comes out with this. This car here is a pivot to the Alfa Romero name. Not only did it bring a lot of new life, but it also showed its competitors that it has teeth. I've had the personal privilege of driving these cars, and let me tell you guys something. This thing drives like a bat out of hell. But one thing I can assure you guys is that this thing is out for blood. The question is, whose blood? Before I go on, I just want to read what others have to say about this car, okay? First thing, a design that brings F1 technology to the everyday driver. A carbon fiber tub similar to that of the McLaren 650S. This thing is a baby McLaren. Baby Ferrari. I mention that because it brings a lot of context to whose blood this car is really after. And after chasing Porsches and Lambos, it's obvious that this car is definitely on another level. My main concern was the carbon fiber chassis. I was afraid that it had too much flex, or maybe it picked up too much of the vibrations, but the exact opposite was true. This car remained very rigid, whether that was 40 miles on a hairpin, 80 miles in a hairpin, or even going straight down 95 miles an hour. This car maintained its composure throughout every single speed and every single driving situation. But the biggest catch for me was these oversized rims. Yes, they're big, yes, they're low pro, yes, they're wide, and yes, they're staggered. You don't want to waste every turn. You see a hairpin, you gotta gun it. There's no exception. You can't not do it, man. It's like, it's low-hanging fruit. When you start slipping a bit, what it actually does, my experience, is it actually tow with you right into place of where you got to be at. I feel like this car is very good at predicting where you're going to end up at high speeds and those turns as well. This is the fastest car I have ever driven in my entire life. And at first it was very sketchy. There was a lot of uncertainty for me getting into this canyon. I felt like I was gonna slip out and lose control. But as I get into those higher speeds and as I put more miles into it, I can truly say this car feels like an extension of my body. The turns are predictable. The speed is just incredible. Before this, I didn't know anything about Alfa Romero, and now I know what they stand for. These guys are definitely going to be doing a lot of stuff in the future. I didn't read anything, but just based on what this car is, I mean, this is 6 years ago. I can only imagine what the engineers have for the future. There was a lot of reviews knocking the interior, but this car is not one that you're going to pick the interior on. You don't want a whole lot of features. You don't want lane assist. You're not even going to be around people. You're going to be surpassing people, whether on the freeway or on the canyons. The car handles as if it's on tracks, but I think that's because the car is as wide as it is long. This car is obviously very short. I was behind a Fiat, and the Fiat was actually taller than this car right here. What I liked about this car is that most of its power is in the lower revs. So 258 torque at 2200 RPM, 237 horsepower at 6000 RPM. So you find yourself shifting quite often because, I mean, there's no need to be redlining this car, especially if you're going to be in the canyons. I mean, even till now, I mean, I think the top speed was, I don't want to say it, definitely over 100, but even then the car didn't pass 100 miles an hour on manual mode, of course. But if you did have to shift, this is actually one of the fastest shifting cars, I think, not only that I've driven, but I think ever. at 130 milliseconds every shift. So from first gear to second gear for you to shift, it's 130 milliseconds. But that's in part because of the dual clutch 6-speed automatic transmission. I didn't think I was going to like it because I didn't think I was going to be so engaged, but just how the car reacts and how quick it is and how predictable it is, I gotta say this car definitely exceeded my expectations. I could honestly see why people call it a baby Ferrari, a baby supercar, because this car in fact is a supercar. The way it handles those curves and just the way it looks. Even people that were driving Porsches and Ferraris were actually looking at this specific car just wondering what it is. And that's partly because this car is not as common. Only 1,500 of these have been made since 2014. Excuse me, 15. So you're not going to see too many on the road. Now that concludes my review of the Alfa Romero 4C. This car definitely has a spot in my heart that I don't think any other car is going to be able to replace anytime soon. But if you guys like this review and if you guys like this video, go and hit like, hit comment, because more is coming. So make sure to subscribe, okay? All right, guys, until next time, take care.